right. The man, the myth, the legend is here.
Oh, good Lord. So we're getting a little rain?
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of rain.
All right. And I get to do an outdoors shower.
An outdoor shower.
It actually makes
man.
the hair softer.
Thank you for being patient. I appreciate it. We've been so super busy with everything going on, and I know it's so hard for a lot of people, and for us it's just been extraordinarily busy, so I apologize. I'm thinking, oh, hi sweetheart, how are you? I'm beginning to think that maybe 4:30 was the wrong time. You know, we'll see. So this is our first Facebook Live for our wine of the week. We've been doing a lot of blogging and a lot of videos or clips and stuff like that on Facebook to promote our wine of the week. But with everything going on and everybody being stuck indoors for the most part, and all of our Zooms and chatting and all of this stuff that we're doing remotely, we thought this might be a better way to do it. So we're going to give it a shot. It just so happens that the wine of the week is a very, very popular wine for us. It's a Cabernet from a Cabernet from Shannon Ridge, which is located up in Lake County, so it's up north of Napa and Sonoma. And it is an extraordinarily popular wine for us. We do really, really well with it. Sweetheart, please don't stand just behind me. Thank you. And we just rolled a new vintage of it. So we were in the 2017, and like I said, we've got a number of clients that absolutely love this wine. And we've now rolled into 2018, and nobody knows what it tastes like except me. So I thought this would be a great first wine. So for those of us who have had wine delivered from us, if you order a single bottle, sometimes a double bottle, they come in these really cool little bags that we hand stamp ourselves. For larger orders, they come in 6-pack carrying cases or full cases, depending on how you guys like to order. So this is our bag. We're gonna pull this bottle out. I'm gonna put this down. We don't want it falling downstairs on our neighbors. That would not be great.
I was scared that would happen.
So all of our wine comes wrapped in this white paper towels, or this white tissue. Before everything happened, we were doing this because I thought it was a really nice way to maybe set us apart and let our clients know that we're doing everything we can to be a true boutique and a true concierge service. And we thought that the white tissue paper just looked really nice and kind of added a little bit of class to our service. Now, what we're doing is we're disinfecting our bottles every single time. For every bottle that gets ordered, I disinfect with my hands and a Clorox wipe, and then we wrap it into this tissue, and the tissue actually helps keep the disinfectant on the bottle, and it also would help keep anything that might come in contact with it from contaminating it. So we're gonna go through this, get this out. They come out pretty easy, and this is our baby right here. Oh.
Ooh, such a pretty wine.
Yeah.
I am not supposed to touch that.
No, you are not supposed to touch that. You have a number of years left before you are allowed to touch it.
I'm not allowed to just tap it.
Okay, kiddo.
All right, sweetie. So this is our Shannon Ridge 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon. This comes out of Lake County. This is high elevation fruit, which means that the vineyards are planted in an area that is at a high elevation. In particular, these vineyards range between 2,100 and 2,500 feet above ground. That is fantastic because it really helps give the vines during the growing season what they call a diurnal shift. So very cool in the morning, really, really warm in the afternoon, or excuse me, in the middle of the day, and then once again cool in the evening. So you go from cool to high to cool again, and that is your diurnal shift, and that happens a lot better when you have wine that's high altitude. The other thing that is really cool about this wine is it's all mountain fruit, so it's growing on the side of a mountain. We are, by the way, right next to O'Neill Park. All kinds of great people out here. So this is mountain fruit, and what that means is these vineyards are planted on mountains that are very heavily sloping. So rainwater and any kind of irrigation that might be going on isn't really allowed to stick to the soil. So Cabernet has to work very, very hard to gain its nutrients and its water, and the end result is a wine that has a wonderful extraction to it. It is a much more rich and dense style of Cabernet than when it is, say, on the valley floor, where moisture is a little bit easier to come by, and you get these kind of softer, rounder, more supple styles of Cabernet. This is going to give you that bigger, deeper extraction, this greater development of fruit in the wine. So let me get into it. This is probably my favorite wine key on the planet. I absolutely love them. It's the only thing I ever use. But we have a lot of friends and clients and stuff that use a sundry of different things to open it. Whatever you use, whatever's easiest for you, go for it. The rabbit is a really popular one. That's where you kind of clamp it and you go down and up and it pulls one out. The other one that I think is really kind of cool is cork pops, and that is actually a long needle. We keep that away from children. It's a long needle with a canister. You shove the needle through the cork, you pop the canister. It shoots a little bit of inert gas, so it doesn't affect the wine at all, but that pressure forces the cork out. And we've got some of our older clients that, you know, doing something like trying to twist it or doing this rabbit motion stuff, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Things like, I always recommend things like cork pops, and you can find those pretty much all around town. So we have our hood off. I like to take my hood off right below the second bevel. One, I think it looks nicer, but also I think you're less likely to damage the foil and then your hands when you're trying to pull a cork out or stuff. This foil can sometimes cut into you. What's that look on your face for, babe? All right, so we're gonna go into the bottle. We're gonna try to put the corkscrew in right in the center. We're gonna just nice and evenly go down. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. I tend to like to have a little bit of the threading open. Some people say that you have to have it down. I don't think it really matters. Once you get into about this point, you're pretty good. You're gonna use a double down, so there's two different portions here. We're gonna click to one, thumb pushing in, open, up, thumb pushing in, and then when it gets to here, you can do a couple of different things. You can grab all of it, twist and gently pull up, or you can bow this piece back out, and then and this is just generally the way I do it, and apply a little bit of pressure to it and continue to pull up, and it'll always pull out your cork. All right, so let's get into this. A little bit of rain in there. It never hurt anybody, right? All right.
Okay, what does that first sniff tell you?
So the very first sniff tells me that this wine is a little bit tight. And what that means is, especially with things like, again, mountain high altitude fruit, where you're going to get that kind of real deep concentration, brand new vintages sometimes are a little bit bound up. They're just kind of like, imagine if you woke up in the morning and you were just tied up in your blankets and you really couldn't move. It takes a little bit, you kind of move yourself around, and pretty soon the blankets relax and you can get yourself up and you get yourself out of bed. That's kind of what this is doing. It's really tight. It takes a couple of minutes. You put your nose into it right away, and what you're getting is a lot of the oak elements out of the wine. You're getting a lot of the tannins and some of the minerality out of the wine. You're not necessarily getting the fruit out of the wine. So again, this, to our clients who know this wine, even with the 2017 at the back end of the vintage, this was a wine that when you put it in the glass, you could try it right away, but the recommendation has always been give it about 5 minutes, let the wine open up a little bit, let that fruit come out and start to pop. And all of my clients that love this wine, they all say the same thing: Jeff, that's the best way to do it, and the wine is completely different in 5 minutes. So we're gonna smell the wine. We're gonna and it just smells wonderful. It's actually already starting to evolve. We're still getting a little bit of the wood essence, but we're also starting to get some of that fruit coming out of the wine, some of the dark fruits. We may have just lost our daughter. I'm gonna hold this.
It's Selfie. It's Selfie.
Oh, it's Selfie. Oh, fantastic. Oh, sorry. I know we're right in the middle of this. She banged her knee up pretty good. She's gonna be okay. Corky pop. I love it. So again, the fruit is really starting to open up nicely in this wine. It's still got all of the great acidity and the tannins and all of this great concentration that you want from this hillside fruit, this high elevation fruit, but the wine is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely. Really good dark fruit. Still a little bit of a kind of a cranberry note to it. Kind of that's really kind of the acidity still kind of holding onto the wine. Really good, dry, clean finish. Long. It's really, really cool. It's hard to believe, again, and this was the same thing with the last vintage. It's hard to believe that this wine is $13. It's just really, really hard. And part of it is it comes from an area, Lake County, where you can still get inexpensive wine in California. And as a matter of fact, Clay Shannon, the gentleman who owns the vineyards and the winery, half of the stuff that he makes or he grows, it actually goes into Napa juice and Sonoma juice. So we got a lot of winemakers who are coming to him looking for this amazing, rich, concentrated Cabernet so that they can help finish out their blends and things like that. So it's such a great testament to this wine, and it's really a great testament to Lake County. I'm going to set this down. And you'll have to bear with me. I really was not expecting to be the one doing all of this, but I think our daughter is in fact safe, and she is in fact still moving around. I really wanted to talk a little bit about this winery. Clay Shannon started it in 1995. He bought 80 acres. He now owns 2,000 acres. It's a gigantic plot of land. And he does, all of his wines are made sustainably. He does something called ovis cycle, which ovis is the Latin term for sheep. So what he does is rather than use big tractors and big machinery to harvest his wines, he's using as many as 1,500 head of sheep. And they run through the vineyards. They eat up all the grass. They eat up all the dried grass and the herbs and all the different things that are growing within the vines. He also uses the sheep to do what's called leaf thinning. If you're not familiar with leaf thinning, a winemaker will do this a couple of times a year or sometimes more. They will walk through the vineyards, and when they see vine leaves that are shadowing grapes and things like that, they'll pull the leaves off, and it's just called leaf thinning. And what they're doing is they're giving the grapes the opportunity to get, there we go, wifey's back. Oh, perfect. They're giving...
She's okay. Crisis averted.
Fantastic. So leaf thinning is essentially just giving the vines and the grape clusters the opportunity to get the maximum amount of sun, and it's that sun is so very important to achieve phenolic ripeness. Are you able to see? Are there any questions or anything?
The mother-in-law wants to know, where is Lake County?
So Lake County is it's up part of North County. It's north of Napa and Sonoma, and it's actually named for Clear Lake, which is this gorgeous, gigantic lake that's up there. A lot of the wineries that hold vineyards and stuff, they tend to be kind of around this area. The thing that's really cool about it is a vast majority of the soil is this volcanic soil, and volcanic soil is very mineral rich and drains very, very well. So, and that just kind of really goes in right on top of what we were talking about being hillside fruit, where you're going to naturally get drainage. Then you put into this beautiful volcanic soil that comes out of Lake County, and you get this beautiful mineral rich kind of feel out of the wine, but that extra drainage gives this wine just added concentration, and that I think is why this wine, as it opens up in the glass, does so gracefully and so beautifully.
Let's move inside. We've got some real rain coming in. We can go right there.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Rain don't hurt, you know? And I mean, it's sparkling on the glass, kind of nice. And hey, we gotta be honest, there's nothing we won't do to help people learn more about wine.
We have a question.
Okay.
Have you visited this property?
I have not visited this property. I've actually only known about Shannon Ridge since August of last year. It was introduced to me by one of my very good friends that I worked with previously. He is the Western Regional Manager. Mitch, what's up if you're watching? He introduced me to these wines. He had just gone to work for him. He had obviously been to the property a couple of times, and he actually left a very lucrative and very big wine supplier company to go to this really small family-owned and operated company. And you always want to know why something like that is happening when you go from something very big and something that is very popular and has an awful lot of great name brands behind it to this area, or to this winery where there's just, nobody's ever heard of it, and it's from an area that most people don't know exists if you're not really embedded in the wine industry. And he was just like, look, let me get the wine into your glass, you'll understand everything. And my biggest problem with the wines was I wanted all of them, and I just can't do that in my shop when we have, a boutique selection. It's, we're under 100 or 250 selections. It's really hard for me to have 4 or 5 wines from one winery, but this one just really stood out. I love, for me, this is a wine for educated wine people, because when you open this wine up, it's not just fruit driven. You open it up and it's like, oh my gosh, this is super jammy and fruity, and I love that style, and let's just drink it. It's not. This is you have to learn about this wine as this wine is learning about itself. So when you get it into the glass, it's one kind of wine, and maybe it's a little off-putting because it's a little bit tight and it's throwing up some some sharper notes and things like that. But with everything, you give it some time and you give it some space and you let it do its own thing, and when you come back to the wine, how gorgeous and how beautiful it is. And when we were doing this together, Mitch and I were doing this together, like we were looking through all of his wines, and I kept thinking about this one wine. I kept coming back to it, and I didn't have pricing from him yet. So when we go through the whole thing, and I was like, all right, hit me with it. And when he threw the price down, I almost fell out of my seat. I was like, it's hard for me to believe that a wine that has this much balance and this much structure and evolves so beautifully into its glass is something I can sell for $13. And I have, like I said, I have a number of clients who have tried this wine and they reorder it. And as a matter of fact, I've got like 5 bottles of it, and I've got more coming in on Tuesday, and I probably will be completely out of it when my new shipment arrives. Any more questions?
Not yet. So is that the first sip?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
No. Oh, I should say, I'm swirling the wine around in my glass, and I know that it's something that looks
Whiny.
Snobby. Let's call it snobby.
Yeah.
There's another word for it that I use with my friends, but let's just call it snobby. And I was doing a really cool wine tasting with some clients, a virtual wine tasting with some clients last week, and we were talking about it. And I said, there are 3 things that you do in the wine industry that are, that kind of perpetuate this whole snobbiness. One of them is constantly swirling a wine. The other one is smelling the wine over and over and over again. But the one I think that is the worst, the snobbiest, is when you see people blowing in their mouth or sucking in their mouth and creating that kind of slurping sound with the wine. And I agree. It doesn't look great. None of them are fantastic looks for us. Because
We have another question.
Okay, let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
And then I'll because I'm trying to demystify the whole snobby, the whole whatever feeling of wine, and these 3 things tend to really perpetuate it. So it's important to understand, while it does not look like the coolest thing to do, they are all very purposeful. This aerates wine. As the wine is spinning around, it's coming in contact with air, and it's helping the wine open up further. You can get a wine to open up a lot faster by swirling it than just by letting it sit here.
That's good to know.
Smelling the wine is super important, because like eating, most of the sensory that you need for tasting wine comes from your nose. And there's actually a really small portion right at the back of your palate before you swallow your wine where your nose re-engages with the wine. So if you smell it first, and you get all these wonderful aromas, and it starts to imprint on your brain what this wine is going to be like. Then you taste the wine, and as it goes through, your taste buds will confirm it, and then your nose, right at the back end, again, before the wine is swallowed, will once again just increase the experience. The last one is the one through the mouth, and that is definitely the most snobby thing we do. But again, it aerates. What I'm doing when I do that is I'm forcing air through the wine, and nothing makes a wine open up faster than air traveling through it. So they're all 3 things that don't look fantastic, but they do have real functionality. So you don't have to do it. A lot of us do it because That's how we're trained, and it gets us through a wine or into a wine a lot faster. But again, it's up to you guys. If you want to do it, cool. You don't have to. What was the question?
Is this a wine that will age well?
Absolutely. The two things in a red wine that you want for aging wine are acidity and tannins. The best tannins for aging come from oak.
Say hi to Mitch again.
Hi, Mitch. The best tannins that you're going to get for a wine come out of oak. There's also tannins that are in skin, and one of the things I didn't mention about this wine is that on top of it being high altitude, on top of it being hillside fruit, on top of it being volcanic soil, there's also these winds that come in off of Clear Lake, and these winds hit and cool down the grapes. One of the things they can do for grapes is they force them into this point where they're trying to protect themselves. And one of the ways they do that through preservation is to thicken their skin. And that is another place where we get tannins in wine, through the skin of the grape. So if these have a little bit thicker skins, it goes in mind that they're going to have a little bit more skin tannin in the end wine. The last one is through the seeds. And that one's kind of tough because you're trying to get true phenolic ripeness to a grape, and to do that, the seeds have to turn from green to brown. When they turn to brown, the tannins will give off more of a nutty flavor. They give off these great round, like earth tones and things like that. When they're green, well, they give off green. So when a winemaker picks a grape and crushes it too soon with green seeds in it, you get these green tannins in these wines, and it can be a little bit off-putting. So those are the three ways that you can get tannins. Anything else?
Nope, not yet. How's the wine doing?
The wine's fantastic. It's just, like I said, it's just getting better and better. Now, I should tell you this. This isn't a gigantic Napa Valley red. This isn't high alcohol. This is 13.9% alcohol. It is never going to be a beastly red Cabernet. But what this is a really pretty, really balanced, heavily nuanced Cabernet. This wine, Mitch, you gotta cover your ears. I need earmuffs on this. This wine should be $20. This wine should be $25. That's where this wine should be. And it's not. It's $13. And thank you for not changing the price on the vintage. My clients, thank you. My future clients will thank you. Again, we've had tremendous success with this wine, and we're hoping to keep going. What's up?
Another question. It's a two-part. So would you say this is a two-case wine, one to drink now and one to drink in 5 or more years?
You definitely could, but I have a real problem with aging a wine that is like this. Not that this wine can't age. It's got enough tannin and beautiful acidity. It would age for at least 5 or more years. But my problem is at $13, I want to drink the damn wine. Like, that's my problem with it. It's like, I mean, just because I'm from the industry, and just because we have a wine shop, and just because I have knowledge on wine, I promise you, every single day of my life, I am looking for wines that grossly outperform their price. Not just for my clients, but for me, because that's what I've always cared about. I've always cared about myself and my clients looking into a glass, taking a sip, and not being able to understand why they didn't pay more for it. And that's this wine, truly. So if you want to buy 2, age 1, go for it. I promise, though, you'll get through the first case and you're like, I'll age the next one. Any other?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's take one.
Drink it now. I'm in.
Yeah. Let's.
That's Todd. Just say hi to Todd.
God. Hey. Hi, Todd. Hi, Da. Let's start to wrap this up. Unfortunately, guys, again, I think 4:30 might have been the wrong time because I need to leave here and get back out. I've got multiple clients that are expecting wine. One thing I would like to say for our folks out there, guys, we are all stuck in our homes. When we're not out working, we're in our homes with our family. It is a fantastic time to gift bottles to your friends and your family for Easter. I have a number of clients. I'm running all over town right now, delivering gifts for folks. It's such a fantastic thing because, who needs a toaster? We don't need another iron. We don't need another iron board. You know what we need? We need wine.
Fantastic.
All right, I'm going to finish this. Not this, because I got to go back to work. If you want to hang out, we can do like another question or two, but other than that, I kind of like to wrap it up.
All right. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to a lot more. Please share these posts when you see them.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Todd.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.